Hello everyone, welcome to another Fimbulvetr update. This week, I've been working on some features that I hadn't mentioned before. They were already planned, but I hadn't been thinking about them for a while until I had someone else join the project recently, whom I was discussing them with. So the first thing you can see here is that we have different battlefields for the different types of terrains. What you're looking at right now is the terrain for the plains, and this is the terrain for the forest. So there's some different platform layouts, and they are colored slightly differently, so you can be constantly reminded of what terrain you're on. And the intention is to change the backgrounds as well, so you'll have entire full scenes depending on your terrain. This here is, of course, the mountain. So whatever terrain you happen to be on when you enter the battle, that is going to be your battlefield. And then next here you can see the water stage, which is just empty. So it's not quite as simple as that, though. The question comes up of what happens if the two characters are on different terrains. And what happens is it mixes and matches them. So in this case, one of our characters was in a forest and the other on a plains, and so it literally takes half and half. We get an asymmetric battlefield with each player starting on the terrain that they were on, and you get interesting combinations. So you do run into scenarios like this here, where the characters are on different terrains, but there's actually terrain in the middle. For example, one was on a forest and the other one was in water, and there was plains in between. Well, it can't account for that, but that is acceptable. As for the other new feature, I've often been asked what the name Fimbulvetr actually means and what its relation is to the game, how it ties in and such. Well, the short of it is that it is an endless winter that comes before the end of the world. And starting now, it does indeed have quite a lot to do with the gameplay. I had been messing with this idea and how I was going to make it work for a while now, and after discussing it with some people, I think this works pretty well. So as we're watching this here by his starting position, you'll actually notice that the winter is indeed approaching. It gradually moves over the map with this sort of supernatural transformation, and it permanently freezes everything. Now what this means is not only a change of terrain, where the water is frozen over and all the grassland is snow, but this also ties into the new victory condition. As the winter passes over structures, it permanently locks them to their current ownership. So once the winter has passed, a structure that has been captured can no longer be recaptured, and the structures that are not owned by either team remain neutral. With this in mind, the winter is designed to determine the pacing of the match. The victory condition is still to own a majority of the fortresses, but it is not instant, but instead is determined after the fortresses have been locked. It becomes important to race to capture certain structures before they are locked, and then eventually you have to move on and move the fight somewhere else to try to capture other structures. So that's the plan anyways. There's actually still quite a bit of work to do with the mechanic. The winter appears, it's there, but there's more to work on with that. So most of this week we'll probably be working on these new features some more, getting them finished and tested a bit, and as well as other things that I mentioned before. So once again, I thank you for following Fimbulvetr, and I hope to see you again soon.